This program is designed as a supplement to the procedure found in the Boeing 787 Aircraft Maintenance Manual for the GEnx-1B aircraft engine. It is not intended as a replacement for the complete written description. This program demonstrates the removal and installation of a GEnx-1B fan stator. The fan stator can be removed during an engine change to make it easier to transport the engine. This video is divided into 3 segments: special equipment, fan stator removal, and fan stator installation. Always refer to the current aircraft maintenance manual for the current fan stator removal installation procedure. You will need the following special equipment: a transportation stand. This stand is used for the air shipment of the engine without the fan stator installed, installing the engine on the airplane, and for fan stator removal installation. The forward propulsor bracket set. The forward propulsor bracket set supports the front of the propulsor in the transportation stand. The fan stator separation fixture. The fan stator separation fixture allows the fan stator to be removed or installed from the transportation stand. The fan inlet personnel stand. This stand is placed in the fan stator case and allows the technician to reach the top of the engine booster area. The fan stator module guide pin set. The fan stator module guide pin set helps align the fan stator module flanges during installation. And finally, the fan blade spacer removal tool. The fan blade spacer removal tool is used to remove the spacer of the fan blades. The fan stator components shipping container. You can use the fan stator components shipping container to store the fan stator components during removal and installation. The air oil heat exchangers protectors. Make sure that the VFSG variable frequency starter generator and engine oil, air oil heat exchanger, or surface cooler protectors are installed in the fan case to prevent damage during the fan stator removal and installation procedure. Fan stator removal. The following steps normally will be done while the engine is being prepared for removal from the airplane. However, these steps can be done with the engine in the stand. The engine oil system must be drained. Open the oil tank filler to allow air into the oil system as it is drained. One at a time, remove the 4 caps of the engine oil supply line, oil return line, air oil surface cooler supply line, and air oil surface cooler oil return line, and drain the engine oil into a container. Relieve the pressure in each of the VFSG systems by removing the caps and attaching the overfill line of a remote service cart to each of the VFSG's overfill drain valves. Drain the left and the right VFSG oil systems by removing the plugs of the VFSG's air oil surface cooler oil supply and oil return lines and draining the oils into a container. The drain and surface module assembly can now be removed. Remove the bolts and safety wire and remove the fire blanket from around the electrical harnesses. Remove the bottom of the fire seal where the engine electrical harnesses pass through and remove the seals. Disconnect the electrical harnesses from the fan stator mounted engine EEC EMU and brackets on the left side of the fan stator. Disconnect the electrical harnesses from the fan stator, electrical harnesses from the engine oil system components, and brackets on the right side of the fan stator. Remove the electrical harnesses from the fire seal area and spring clips of the drain and service module and then tie wrap them out of the way onto the propulsor. Disconnect the VFSG fill and overflow oil service tubes at the top of the drain and service assembly. Disconnect the fire detection sensor wiring. Disconnect the drain tube flanges and remove the gasket seal. Remove the aft bolts of the left and right support brackets just above the overboard drain mast. Remove the bolts that attach the drain and service assembly to the bifurcation assembly and remove the drain and service assembly. At the bottom of the fan case and in front of the bifurcation fire seal, remove the flange bolts of engine oil and air oil surface cooler supply and return tubes. Disconnect the left and right VSFG oil supply and return tubes. Disconnect the engine's sensor air tubes. At the top of the lower bifurcation assembly and on the left and right sides, remove the bolts, brackets, and gasket seals that attach the engine oil and air oil surface cooler supply and return lines. Remove the left and right support brackets from the engine oil supply and return, and air oil surface cooler supply and return tubes. Remove the screws that attach the engine oil supply and return lines and air oil surface cooler supply and return tubes to the bifurcation and remove the tubes. Remove the brackets and bolts of the VFSG supply and return tube flanges and remove the gasket seal. Disconnect the engine sensor air tubes at the top of the assembly. Remove the screws that attach the bifurcation and the fire seal to the lower firewall and remove the bifurcation. Remove the screws of each of the 7 blank-off panels and 1 flow shield and remove them from the engine inner cowl support. Note that the blank-off panel positions are numbered on the underside of each panel. Remove the upper and lower fillet fairings from the upper and lower bifurcation firewalls. Remove the 10 bleed air deflector panels from the inner cowl support. Note that the 10 bleed air deflector panels are the same part number and are all interchangeable. The aft bolt flange of the fan stator module is now accessible. Inside the upper bifurcation firewall, disconnect the oil tank ventilation tube by removing the bolts, nuts, and gasket seal. Disconnect the engine anti-ice duct at the upper bifurcation firewall by removing the clamp and seal. Remove the upper bifurcation bridge at the 12 o'clock position of the inner cowl support by disconnecting the fire extinguishing tube at the top and bottom of the tube. Then remove the attaching nuts, fire extinguishing tube, cable bracket, and the firewall bolts, and remove the upper bifurcation bridge. Remove the lower bifurcation bridge at the 6 o'clock position of the inner cowl support by removing the attaching nuts and the firewall bolts. Access to the forward bolt flange of the fan stator is made through the front of the engine. Fan blade removal. To remove the fan blades, do the following. Fan blades and platforms are balance critical. If the same blades and platforms will be installed, assure installation into the same position from which they were removed. If one or more blades or platforms will be replaced, follow AMM requirements to assure correct sequencing prior to installation. Number the fan blades and platforms. First, locate the number 1 fan blade by looking for the dimple in the spinner. The dimple identifies balance weight hole number 1, which is directly in front of the fan blade number 1. Starting with the number 1 fan blade, number the blades and platforms from 1 to 18 in a counterclockwise direction by placing a piece of tape on each fan blade and platform and numbering the location of each. Remove the fan rotor spinner as follows. Remove the 18 bolts that hold the spinner onto the support ring. Note, make sure that you hold the weight of the spinner when you remove the last bolts. Caution: do not use a screwdriver or other metal tool to remove the spinner from the support ring. Damage to the spinner or the support ring can occur. Use a non-metallic bar in the 4 notches between the spinner and support ring to separate the spinner from the support ring. Remove the support ring as follows. Caution: make sure that the platforms do not fall when you remove the support ring. Damage to the platforms or inlet can occur. Remove the 18 bolts holding the support ring to the fan disc. Remove the support ring. Remove the fan blade platforms as follows. To make sure that the fan blades are not scratched and damaged during platform removal, do the following. Separate the adjacent fan blades at the tip and remove the fan blade platform. They should fall out into your hand. Remove all 18 fan blade platforms the same way as the first. Turn the fan assembly counterclockwise to put the first fan blade to be removed at the 6 o'clock position. Remove the bolt that holds the fan blade retainer and the fan blade spacer together. Put the pin of the fan blade spacer removal tool into the bolt hole on the fan blade spacer. Using the slide hammer tool, move the slide backward and forward to remove the fan blade spacer from the blade slot in the fan disc. Remove the dovetail key from the blade slot on the fan disc. Remove the fan blade retainer from the blade slot on the fan disc. Remove the fan blade from the blade slot on the fan disc. Remove the fan blade shims from the fan disc posts when the fan blades are out. All fan blades are removed the same way as the first. It is recommended to remove blades in a sequence that will maintain the best rotor balance, such as 180 degrees apart or in 90-degree quadrants, and not consecutively, as an unbalanced fan rotor can rotate and cause injury. Remove the 6 acoustic panels from around the fan booster by removing the 4 screws that attached each panel. The 6 acoustic panels are the same part number and are interchangeable. Caution: do not use a sharp tool to pry or remove the acoustic panels. Damage can occur to the acoustic panels or the fan booster. To remove the panel, move the forward lip outward from behind the booster splitter fairing and pull the panel forward. The remaining panels are removed the same way as the first. Disconnect each of the 6 booster anti-ice tubes from the back of the booster splitter fairing by removing the bolts. Remove the clamps that attach the 3 booster anti-ice segments together and to the fan hub frame. Remove the bolts and P-clamps that attach each of the 3 booster anti-ice segments to the booster and remove them. Remove the 6 booster splitter fairing extension tubes. Remove the bolts that attach the booster splitter fairing to the leading edge of the booster and remove the splitter fairing. The fan stator forward bolt flange is now accessible. With the engine removed from the airplane and in the engine stand, the final steps for the fan stator removal can be performed. Attach the left and right aft fan stator support brackets to the fan case forward flange with the upper bolt at the center line of the fan stator. If the outside flange of the bracket is perpendicular to the ground, then brackets are in the correct position. Install the forward support post into the opening on the main frame. Do not install the lock pin at this time. Move the side frames into position. Lift and attach the forward support post to the forward adapter plate. This will act as a guide to help prevent the side frame from falling over when you raise the side frame. Install the fan stator aft support brackets to the fan stator. Attach the adjustable support brace from the fan stator aft mount to the side frame. Raise the side frames with the forward and aft adjustment handles, adjusting the support brace as necessary until you can install the pin into the forward support post and side frame. Install the left and right aft adapter plates onto the side frame and into the fan stator V-groove and secure with the nut. Pass the support cable under the fan stator and attach each end to the left and right aft adapter plates, making sure that the cable is in the V-groove. To remove the stress from the fan stator flanges and make the fan stator removal easier, do the following steps to the left and right side frames. Using the forward frame height adjusting handle, lower the frame until the forward wheels are off the ground. Using the aft frame height adjusting handle, lower the side frame until the support cable, the aft adapter plates, and support braces are loose. Now raise the side frame using the forward and aft frame height adjusting handles at the same time until the forward wheels are on the ground. And the aft adapter plate is aligned with the fan stator V-groove and the support cable is no longer slack. Unlock the aft side frame wheel and adjust the support braces to make the side frame vertical at this time. Turn both the aft and forward frame height adjusting handles 2 additional turns to raise and preload the forward, aft adapter plates and the support cable. You can now remove the bolts from the aft and forward fan stator flanges. The fan inlet personnel stand can be used to reach the upper bolts of the forward flange. All adjustments will be made to the fan stator using the side frame adjusting handles to make sure that the fan stator and fan hub frame flanges clear. Side-to-side adjustment is done by adjusting both the side frame rear wheels in the same direction and moving the fan stator by hand. Minor adjustments can be made by moving the side frame forward tricycle wheels side to side. With personnel watching the fan stator flanges, slowly move the fan stator and separation fixture by hand, forward, making the adjustments as necessary, and away from the propulsor and shipping stand. Fan stator module installation. Referring to the aircraft maintenance manual, properly clean the fan stator flanges. If you will be using the guide pins, install them now. Using caution, move the fan stator and separation fixture by hand aft toward the propulsor and shipping stand. Always have personnel watching the fan stator flanges and make sure that no engine parts make contact. Adjustments are made to the fan stator using the frame height adjustment handles and by hand. Raise or lower the fan stator by adjusting the aft and forward frame height adjustment handles of the separation fixture side frames. Parallel adjustment of the fan stator flanges can be done by adjusting the two aft or two forward separation fixture side frame height adjustment handles. Roll adjustment of the fan stator flanges can be done by adjusting both of the side frame height adjustment handles of one side frame down while raising the opposite side frame adjustment handles up. Side-to-side adjustment is done by positioning the left and the right aft wheels in the direction necessary and moving the fan stator and separation fixture by hand. Always be sure to straighten and lock the wheel after the side-to-side movement is complete. Once the fan stator is adjusted, continue to move the fan stator and separation fixture aft. Stop and make adjustments to the fan stator as necessary to align the flanges and engage the guide pins into the bolt holes of the aft flange. Referring to the aircraft maintenance manual procedures, clean, lubricate, install, and torque the forward and aft flange bolts. Minor adjustments to the fan stator will be necessary to get all the bolts started. Removal of the 11C 4490 fan stator separation fixture is as follows. On each side frame, remove the pins securing the forward support posts to the side frame. Using the frame height adjustment handles and support braces, adjust the side frame down to remove the stress on the forward and aft adapter plate and support cable. Remove the support cable. Remove the nut and remove the left and right aft adapter plates and stow them on the side frame. Turning the side frame height adjustment handles, lower the side frames until they are on the side frame aft support wheels. Loosen and remove the support braces from the fan stator and side frames. Stow them on top of the side frames. Unpin the forward support posts from the forward adapter plates. Remove the forward support posts from the side frame and stow them on the top of the individual side frames. The fan stator transfer system side frames may be rolled away from the engine. Remove the bolts and the forward adapter plates from the fan stator and stow on the side frame. Remove the left and right aft fan stator support brackets from the fan case and stow on the side frame. From this point on, the engine can be installed on the airplane at any time. Install the 3 booster anti-ice segments onto the booster brackets with the P-clamps and bolts. Install the 3 clamps that attach the 3 segments together and to the fan hub frame tube. Install the 6 extension tubes into the booster splitter fairing. Making sure that the booster splitter fairing seal is installed, align the booster splitter fairing with the 6 booster anti-ice tube locations and install the bolts. Install the seals and attach the 6 anti-ice tubes to the extension tubes and the booster splitter fairing. Install the 6 acoustic panels around the booster aft of the booster splitter fairing. The 6 booster acoustic panels are the same part number and all are interchangeable. Install the aft end of each panel into the fan stator slot. Working each panel aft, move the forward edge inward behind the booster splitter fairing and install the bolts. Fan blade installation. Clean the sides of the fan blade shims with a cotton wiper moist with alcohol. The shims are between the fan disc and the fan blade dovetail. Clean the fan blade dovetail surfaces with a cotton wiper moist with alcohol to remove the old lubricant. Clean the 2 sides of the fan blade spacer with a cotton wiper moist with alcohol to remove the old lubricant. Apply the lubricant as follows. Following the AMM procedure, brush the lubricant on 4 separate times, assuring complete coverage of the entire fabric coating of both sides of the fan blade dovetail. Following the AMM procedure, brush the lubricant on all areas of the spacer that makes contact with the fan disc. Let the lubricant dry until white powder residue is seen. The drying time will usually take about 20 minutes. Make sure that the fan blades are installed in the same numbered position they were removed from. The number 1 fan blade slot in the fan disc is marked with number 1s on each side of the fan disc slot. Also, number 5s are found on each side of the number 5 fan blade disc slot. Install the fan blade as follows. Turn the fan counterclockwise to put the open fan disc blade slot at the 6 o'clock position. Before the fan blade is installed, do a visual inspection of the fan blade shims and make sure the fan blade shims are installed fully aft. Install the fan blade into the fan disc slot. Install the fan blade retainer into the fan disc blade slot. With the horizontal bar part of the dovetail key toward you, install the dovetail key into the fan disc blade slot. Insert the fan blade spacer and then hit it with a plastic mallet until it is fully installed. Make sure that there is space between the dovetail key and the fan blade spacer. The dovetail key should be loose. Install the bolt that holds the fan blade retainer and the fan blade spacer together. Following blade sequencing per the AMM, install the remaining fan blades the same way as the first. Install the fan blade platform as follows. To make sure that the fan blades are not scratched and damaged during platform installation, do the following. Separate the 2 adjacent fan blades at the tip to install the fan blade platform. Install the fan blade platform between the fan blades it was removed from. This is important for fan balancing. Release the fan blade separation before letting go of the platform. The fan blade pressure on the sides of the platform should hold it in position. Install all 18 fan blade platforms the same way as the first. To position the support ring so the spinner balance weights will be in the same position as before the support ring was removed, install the support ring as follows. Align the offset bolt holes in the support ring to the fan disc as follows. A number 1 is stamped on 2 of the spinner aft bolt flanges. The number 1s are on both the aft and forward faces of the aft bolt flange of the spinner support ring. The fan disc offset bolt hole is marked with an O on the forward side. A number 1 is stamped on each side of the number 1 fan blade slot on the forward face of the fan disc. Align the support ring numbers 1s with the fan disc number 1s and install the support ring. If the number 1s are aligned, then the offset bolt holes will be aligned. Install, tighten, and torque the support ring bolts in a crisscross pattern. To position the spinner so the spinner balance weights will be in the same position as before the spinner was removed, install the spinner onto the support ring as follows. Align the spinner to the support ring with the markings labeled with a number 1 on the support ring as follows. The dimple in the spinner is near the offset spinner mount bolt hole marked with the number 1. You will also find a number 1 next to the offset spinner mounting bolt on the aft bolt flange of the spinner. A number 1 is stamped next to the offset hole on the face of the forward flange of the support ring. Align the spinner numbers 1 with the support ring number 1 and install the spinner. Install, tighten, and torque the spinner bolts in a crisscross pattern. Install the gasket seals and connect the oil tank ventilation tube flanges to the intercowl support. Install the upper bifurcation bridge, fire extinguishing tube, and cable bracket at the 12 o'clock position of the inner support. Connect the engine anti-ice duct at the upper bifurcation firewall. Install the lower bifurcation bridge at the 6 o'clock position of the inner cowl support. Install the 10 bleed air deflector panels onto the inner cowl support. The 10 panels are the same part number and are all interchangeable. Next, install the upper and lower fillet fairings for the upper and lower bifurcation firewalls. The blank-off panels have their installation position marked on the inside of the panels. Install each panel at the proper positions 1 through 8. Aft looking forward and starting at 12 o'clock of the inner cowl support, counting clockwise for position 1 through 8. Make sure that the flow shield is installed over the HPT and LPT active clearance control fan air intake ducts, and then install the 7 blank off panels at their proper position onto the inner cowl support. Make sure the engine oil and air oil cooler tubes at the bottom of the fan case have the O-rings installed before installing the lower bifurcation. Position the lower bifurcation onto the fan stator lower firewall and install the screws and bolts to attach it into place. At the top of the lower bifurcation, attach the engine sensor air tubes. Install the gasket seal, brackets, and 4 bolts and nuts to connect the left and right VFSG oil supply and return oil tubes. Align the engine oil supply and return tube assembly and the air oil surface cooler oil supply and return tube assembly to the bifurcation and install the bolts. Install the gasket seals and bolts with the bracket and attach the engine and air oil surface cooler oil supply and return lines. On the front of the lower bifurcation fire seal, connect the engine sensor air tubes. Connect the left and right VFSG surface cooler oil supply and return tubes. Position the flanges and bolt the oil tank and surface cooler oil supply and return tubes in place. Before you install the drain and service module, make sure that the proper color-coded electrical harnesses are positioned on the correct side of the drain and service module. Install the left and right support brackets from the engine oil supply and return and air oil surface cooler supply and return tubes. Position the drain and service module to the back of the lower bifurcation and bolt it into place. Install the left and right support brackets, aft bolts, just above the overboard drain mast. Install the gasket seal and connect the upper and lower drain tube flanges. Connect the fire detection sensor wiring. Connect the VFSG fill and overflow oil service tubes at the top of the drain and service assembly. Remove the electrical harnesses from their storage position on the propulsor and install them in the color code labeled spring clips of the drain and service module. A good maintenance practice is to lay all the cables out under the fan stator in order, as shown, and then to install one electrical harness at a time. Using the harness color coding and the reference color markings of the drain and service assembly as a guide, install the electrical harnesses into the lower bifurcation assembly through the fire seal, connecting them to the brackets and into the color-coded cable clips up to the EEC, EMU, and oil tank. Position the fire seals onto the electrical harnesses into the bottom of the lower bifurcation and install the bottom panel. Install the fire blanket around the electrical harnesses aft of the fire seal. Install the bolts and safety wire as required. Finally, service the engine oil system at the oil tank and the left and right VFSG oil systems at the drain mast service panel. This completes the demonstration of the removal and installation of the GEnx-1B fan stator module. For a detailed written description of this procedure, refer to Chapter 71-00-05 of the Boeing 787 Aircraft Maintenance Manual.